Tech giants like Amazon, Apple, Google, and Facebook have proven that they aren't just pandemic-proof. For them, widespread lockdowns that keep people glued to their screens have been a dream come true.
This real painful transition we're going to go through, which sucks from a labor perspective and a human perspective, is amazing from a technology and efficiency and potentially profitability perspective.
The tech-heavy Nasdaq index hit several record highs this year. It illustrates how the pandemic has accelerated big tech's accumulation of power. But regulators around the world want to give smaller players a fighting chance. And the latest target is social media giant Facebook.
By using its vast troves of data and money, Facebook has squashed or hindered what the company perceived as potential threats. They've reduced choices for consumers. They stifled innovation. And they degraded privacy protections for millions of Americans.
New York is among 46 states, together with Washington, D.C. and the U.S. territory of Guam, which have sued the $800 billion company. They want Facebook to divest from photo and video sharing platform Instagram and popular messaging service WhatsApp. It's another major case against big tech, following the U.S. Justice Department's antitrust lawsuit against Google in October. Accusations include illegal exclusivity deals with smartphone makers and software developers, as well as bans on rival apps on devices that run Google software.
It's a major shot across the bow from the DOJ, and I think this is a serious step up in the move on the antitrust front. This is sort of, I think, the first step of what we're going to see are broader pressures against big tech with Google front and center.
And it's not just in the U.S. Across the Atlantic, the European Union has taken aim at Amazon. The bloc's accusing the e-commerce giant of using marketplace data from its site to unfairly promote Amazon-branded products over competing goods offered by third-party sellers.
That the use of these data allows Amazon to focus on the sale of the best-selling products, and this marginalizes third-party sellers and caps their ability to grow.
Another e-commerce conglomerate, Alibaba, is facing legal troubles in its home market, China. Last month, Beijing unveiled landmark rules that could lead to the breakup of the company that also has interests in online searches, cloud computing, and personal finance.
The Chinese government is increasingly concerned, I guess, about the monopoly power that these companies can exert, which is interesting because it's very similar to what you're seeing in capitalist economies, or have seen in capitalist economies for years.
But analysts say big tech firms are being unfairly punished for their success, and the motivation is mainly political.
A lot of these tech companies have benefited so much during the pandemic, where, again, we go back to what is politics? It's Main Street getting hurt, big companies making money. Doesn't sound good to, people when these congressmen and senators go back to their hometowns.
Litigation is expected to take years, and industry observers say drastic changes will be hard to sell politically. That means for now, tech giants are just too big to take down. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Well, for more, let's go to Santosh Rao. He's the head of research at Manhattan Venture Partners and joins us from Princeton, New Jersey. Great to have you back with us, Santosh. Now, last year, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said these growing calls for the company to be broken up posed an existential threat to the social media giant. But now that idea is no longer just theoretical. Do you think these lawsuits will actually succeed?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I think the heat is really increasing. There is a unanimous consent amongst the regulators that it is a threat. And on the face of it, you can make a case for that, but I don't think the courts will really go along with this whole idea. Facebook did not get there by any unfair means. It got there because they did the right thing. When they bought Instagram, nobody knew Instagram. So they created Instagram, they created WhatsApp, and they built it up. So I think to say that something is wrong or they did something wrong, that they're stifling competition, really is not fair. I don't buy that. I think maybe some guardrails around them is required, but I mean, just to look at it, TikTok came out of the blue and almost threatened Facebook's domination in terms of the popularity. So there is competition can come up. It's not really stifling anything. So yes, it's a strong competitor, but doesn't mean others cannot come up as well.
Yeah, let's look at those two main acquisitions of Facebook. So, as you mentioned, Instagram and WhatsApp. It paid about $1 billion in 2012 for Instagram, which seems like a bit of a bargain now, and it paid a whopping $19 billion for WhatsApp in 2014. The Federal Trade Commission argues that those acquisitions really served to neutralise the competition, which really does seem like an obvious motive. So why then is that a problem? The fact that Facebook saw that as being a savvy business decision to buy up some of its rivals?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense at all. I mean, this is good business practice. I mean, you compete vigorously, you take out competition, or rather neutralize competition. I mean, that's the way things are always. That's how you grow big. That's how you gain competitive advantage. So it's really not fair to say that they did anything wrong, that they should not have done that. In hindsight is 2020. But even in this case, the 2020 does not mean they did anything wrong. Yes, you have to acknowledge that they are strong. If they did something wrong in terms of legal practices, in terms of their deals with the advertisers and all that, yes, you can make some corrections there, impose fines and guardrails around it, but don't say they cannot do that. They absolutely can. And any company, if there's Amazon does that, Google does that, they take out competition at a very early stage, so they don't threaten them later on. And they have to. Technology moves so fast these days, so you really can't sit back. You have to be agile, which is what these tech companies are, and they do a great job at it. So really not fair. I don't think this will, in the end, it'll be a long drawn out process because everyone wants to make a case here. But I think in the end, the courts will side with Facebook.
Interesting. Now, we know Facebook is now the second tech giant to be taken to court by US authorities. Google faced similar lawsuits in October, which it's vowed to fight. Do you think other tech companies like Amazon should be worried that they might be hit with lawsuits as well?
Oh, they already have. I think the European Union is after Amazon now. They are strong. They're definitely they are a threat to the way these people govern. In some cases, in the emerging markets, in countries like India and all, they believe there's a line of thinking that they almost threaten the democratic way of governing. So this is a new way, this is a new reality. So the governments have to ramp up, they have to adjust, but use this constructively. The companies are willing to work with the governments. They're not saying, hey, this is who we are, we don't care. They're willing to work with them. So I think there will be some middle ground, and I don't think they'll be split up, because by breaking them up, they won't be as good or as effective. The value proposition will not be there, and the free access to all these services will not be there if you start breaking them up. So there's a whole entire value proposition tied to these companies because the way they are. So let's not tamper with that, and let's kind of refine it. I mean, we can put some guardrails, but let it grow, let it thrive.
Okay, Santosh, thanks for that. But we're going to ask you to stick around to weigh in on another big tech story of the day. Thank you.